What's up, guys? Jughead's Journey here. Welcome back to our Let's Watch Hunter x Hunter series. Today we are going to be watching episode 74, Victor and Loser. Biscuit and Killua have defeated the lackeys Sub and Bara. We finally witnessed Biscuit's true form, and Killua has 200-pound alloy yo-yos in his arsenal, in his little bag of tricks, up his sleeves, whatever you want to call it. I hope we see more of that. But the fight between Gon and Genthru is nowhere near over yet. Though, Victor and Loser, title of today's episode, tells us it does end today. Someone will win, someone will lose. Will someone perish? Gon is gonna make Genthru use his ability on him, whether that's just Little Flower or if that's gonna be Countdown as well. Then he'll get back to the script. Gon isn't gonna surrender, even if Genthru blows a hole straight in his chest with that Little Flower. Though, it might not go well for him. The huge theme of Hunter x Hunter is preparation and a plan and intelligence, always winning over pure strength. But Gon has deviated from the plan. He's operating on pride. That's not good. Come on, Gon. But without any further ado, tune in to my full uncut reaction here and stay for my in-depth analysis discussion afterwards. So, Hunter x Hunter, episode 74, Victor and Loser, in 3, 2, 1, let's watch. Oh, also, look at this sick phone case I just got. Kurapika, my boy. Now let's watch. Whew. His will to... I love this line from last episode. His will to fight, his will to stand, his will to resist, crush his will. Because you know he's not going to admit defeat. And Gon knows how to combat against Little Flower. You can't really combat against Countdown directly, though. So I look forward to seeing just how Gon is going to fare. He knows how to redistribute his own aura to protect himself, but he also knows how to look out for Genthru's aura. As the giveaway, he's gonna block. He sent aura to his wrist, but he had time to redistribute his aura. Yeah, just a minor burn. But like I was saying, Gon knows Genthru's giveaway is Genthru has to focus his aura into his hand to protect himself from Little Flower. But I'm sure Genthru knows that as well. Uh-oh. Oh, he's gonna use his other one. Oh, yep. He knows, yep. You got lucky first time, but you're leaving the rest of your body open to a kick or a punch. So now you have to use Ryu, redistribute. Gon's gonna do something insane. I already know it. Gon's gonna do something bonkers. Okay, what did Biscuit say? I love the music in the background too. Block. Nope. Oh, he's gonna take it again. No, kick him. Kick him. Your feet are open. Oh, damn. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm hoping for. Let me pause. We've seen Gon versus Netero, Gon versus somewhere in the Hunter exam, Gon versus Hisoka. He's a kicker. He loves to use his feet. If he has both his hands trapped or his core trapped, kick him in the fucking face. Because Genthru's also not going to be protecting himself. He has to focus all of his aura into his hands for his attack. So he's defenseless too. He focuses his own aura. Yep, he shrouds his hand in aura that's stronger than he... Yep. Leaving the rest of his body completely vulnerable. Take advantage of that. So the rest of them know about his yo-yos too. He's been practicing with them while they were training. Ooh, so you can sense it. So this is where Gon learns. In the fractions of a second, he can read Genthru himself. But if he's going to use it, if he's faking, yep, he won't put it there. Yep. Awesome. Yep. So if he grabs his hand, but the gyo's not there, he knows the second punch is coming. Or, I'm not even going to say it. I'm going to wait for it to happen. Because like I said, Gon's going to do something crazy. What if Gon purposely leaves himself vulnerable? To go on the attack. He always wins people over. He earned a compliment from him. Gon's gonna... Nope. Not at all. If he makes like... Gon's not gonna stick to the plan though. Yeah. God damn it, Gon. Gon does admit he is selfish. And we know Gon is selfish. A great idea in your head. Probably suicidal and insane to anybody else. But genius to you. Is it gonna be... Is this either double little flower or countdown? Oh. Is Genthru faking? Because if he's real, then Gon is gonna attack. If Gon has no hands, he has 2 feet. That's all I'm gonna say. Kick him! Kick him in the fucking face! Kick him in the Kick him in the face. Kick him in the face. Did you kick him? Yep. Kicked him in the face, right? Is he dazed and confused? Damage! Kicked him. Does he even have hands to do Jajanken? Let me see your arms. Is he too stunned? Oh my god. He's gonna trip and miss. I see black all over his hands. Does he even have skin left? Does he even have skin left on his wrists? Or are they just bones? Look, the skin's been flayed off. This kid's insane, right? He did lose his hand. I was only looking at the other hand for a second. His hand's fucking gone. Genthru's like, this kid's insane. I need to run away. This boy is insane. Let me hear you say it. Let me hear you say it. This kid's insane. Let me hear you say it. Just like how, what's his name? Called him a monster. I want you to call him insane. Yep, you leave nothing for the rest of your body. No one sane would actually try that. Now, there are 2 previous moments in the anime so far. 74 episodes that we're in right now. there are two other moments for Gon that maybe were my first moments and a lot of your guys' first moments if you never read the manga, or if you did read the manga, you already knew. But either way, these first two moments of where you're like, holy shit, Gon's insane. First, Trick Tower. When Gon is like gleeful and smiling, happy when he sees Killua rip out Jonas's heart. That's the first moment where you're like, this kid's insane. Two, when he refuses to admit defeat and continues fighting against Hanzo. That's also where I think was the first time where I was really like, this kid's crazy. And now this, he willingly sacrificed his arms, his hand got blown off for his pride to win. And he just fired off a Jajanken with only one hand. This is where, oh my god, Gon's fucking crazy. And all he's thinking about is, man, I gave him a good scare. No shit. He's like holding on to a nub. It's like perfectly cauterized, so there's no bleeding or anything. Nope. What? Gon doesn't have a hand and he doesn't have sleeves, so I can't really say what else does Gon have up his sleeves. Now, okay, now we're sticking to the plan. Thank you. Now let's get back to the smart tactics that Killua came up with, please. Which probably utilizes cards and not, just throwing your body at Genthru. Let's be smart. We're on Greed Island. Yes, book. What cards are we using? But that's what you think. But Killua is super smart. Uh-oh. Damn, okay, Gon is confident. Gon is confident. Ooh. He is probably bluffing. No. Uh-oh. No. I'm gonna crush his throat. But he wants to get close to him. No. Okay. Oh! That hurt my trachea. Ooh, and the back. So he was preparing for it. If you crush his windpipe, he can't speak. But he's probably... What happens to a card if you don't... If it's just sitting here? Whoa. Is this answering my... Okay, I have two thoughts going in my mind. Gasoline, holy shit, that's genius. And what was the other thing? You have made the worst mistake you can make. Gasoline. A container 1 minute. Oh my god. The card transformed on its own. 1 minute. Do cards automatically revert if not acted upon within a minute? And all that gasoline, he can't use Little Flower anymore. He'll kill himself. Yep, he can't use Little Flower. He would ignite himself on fire. Oh my god, that's thank you, Killua. But now it's time for Countdown. But he can still use Countdown. But this is where Gon has to remain in CQC, Close Quarters Combat. Because he can't explode Countdown if Gon is right next to him. He'll die. Because his own aura can't protect him against Countdown. It's too strong. Yeah, his aura could never... no amount of Gyo or whatever could protect him. So remain in close quarters combat. I forgot he has to explain everything for it to trigger the conditions. What are you doing? Are you gonna a trap? A sinkhole? Look. Was that all pre-planned? Yep, a pit. They designed a pit. Now you're trapped with them. You can't use countdown. You'll die. He's so fucking Killua. He can't use it. You're screwed. He can't jump out. He cornered you both because now you can't use. Where the hell did he go? Look at this planning. They carved out a cave, this pitfall. If a card is removed from the binder for a minute, it reverts to an... This is some Looney Tunes shit. This is Wile E. Coyote shit. A gigantic fucking boulder. And then Genthru's gonna crawl into the cave with him with a Jajanken, and he's fucking done. Red like a fucking coloring book. He's in the cave. Let me see that orange glow of a Jajanken. Yes! Oh my god. You're done for. He didn't listen to him at all. I surrender. I don't care. I don't care. You're done. Now, did he kill him? I doubt it. Mission accomplished. Holy shit. Nope, he's not dead. But they're all captured. How much time is left? 9 minutes? Is that enough for them to... Always part of the plan. Yep. Everything was laid out in the plan, and you fell perfectly in it. And this is what Batera wanted. So Gon is going to be completely healed. Awesome. You get your hand back. He admits defeat, but he does care about his comrades. Oh shit. Sorry, Killua. So what happens with Killua? So probably like what, 7 minutes left? I don't know if that's enough time for them to, for the story to wrap up where they have all the cards, Goreinu gives the cards, They have all 100 and they win. That'll probably be next episode. I don't think we're gonna be able to do that with 7 minutes left and credits still to play. Not nearly as prepared to die. I'm worse than these guys. Damn. See? Killua's winning people over now. What counts is how I feel. So here's some morality. This was all part of the game. If you weren't allowed to kill people, and if it was strictly prohibited, then the game would have prevented you from being able to kill people. Just came from the heart. Came from your conscience. That can't be, you know, rationalized. Or logic coded. Can't Biscuit use her ability on Killua though? So this is them reaching the 100. Oh, even Sagera's team agreed. So now that this is the first time anybody has actually won the game, is the game gonna continue on? Is there a point? Whoa! Damn! Damn! 4 billion Jenny. So they each get 1 billion Jenny too. And so, yeah, so will the game continue on now that somebody's finally won? Is there really a point anymore? And will all 3 of them get to choose which one of the 3 cards they want to take out? But we know Jing is not at the end of the road here. So we won't be able to meet his dad. Oh, we still have to watch them attain the 100th card. In honor of this event, there will be a quiz contest for all Green Island... Uh-oh. I don't know if I'd be able to pass this quiz. There will be 100 total questions dealing with restricted slot cards. The player who has the most correct answers will receive Ruler's Blessing as a prize. So, logically, the person who has all 99 cards... Oh! There's Abengane with Hisoka. Logically, the person with 99 cards would know the most about the cards. Yep. Uh-oh. Who the hell is this? Are these the game designers? Nope. There's Abengane. The bug is still on him, because that's why he's still dressed up, so the thing hasn't happened yet, but we shall see. Today's episode was so crazy and so good. What a culmination. Everything in the game, from everyone's different perspectives, condensing into this moment between Gon and Genthru. All the learning and training we as the audience went through over the course of 15 or so, how many episodes, about Nen, all the death and destruction, the rivalries and alliances, all the manipulation and ulterior motives, Gon's complex interplay between innocence and ruthlessness, Genthru embodying the antithesis of Gon's ideals. There's a lot about Nen I hadn't even ever thought about before that I learned in this arc, in this episode. But also on the flip side, if you pay attention and if you paid attention, there's so much you already know or can intuitively put together about Nen that you can, in the moment, foresee or analyze, predict, whether it's 5 seconds before, 1 minute before, what's about to happen. If your understanding of Nen is correct, and if you paid attention to previous dialogue, previous action, previous arcs, previous character traits, etc., you got it. For example, it was multiple episodes ago, maybe more than half a dozen episodes ago, that I broke down and analyzed Genthru's abilities before it was even broken down for us by Genthru himself or by the show like it was done today. I've already understood how Genthru must shroud his own hand in aura that's stronger than the blast of his little flower to protect himself, meaning he's vulnerable elsewhere. I already knew that. I deduced that myself. I broke that down and analyzed that myself in one of these discussion episodes from like 10 episodes ago. And I said, if one could see if he's focusing his aura and in which hand, they could know not only if he's going to use Little Flower, but in which hand. I also explained if he uses Little Flower in both hands, then he will be completely vulnerable everywhere else on his body. What I didn't think about, which I should have, but I just simply didn't, was the fact you can feel someone's aura, the amount or the density. And you can do that in a fraction of a second, which I hadn't seen before until Biscuit's training of, in fractions of a second redistributing your aura, because Gon and Killua didn't know how to do that until Greed Island and until forming a relationship with Biscuit. The fight between Gon and Genthru is just so fun because, just like Gon, it's like being in a class for all the lessons and then studying for the exam and then acing the exam. As long as you paid attention, you got the perfect attendance, you studied, you paid attention, and it pays off. Because the fight highlighted so many mechanics of Nen we learned throughout the arc. Gyo, Ryu, Ten, Ren, Ken, redistributing your aura to different parts of your body, doing so in fractions of a second, redistributing specifically like different percentages of Nen here or there, using aura defensively and offensively, switching between the two at the drop of a hat. And also the mechanics of the cards, Greed Island. That's what made the fight so fun, because you're like rewarded for paying attention. That fun feeling you get of even if it's 2 seconds before it happens, being able to say or think what's about to happen, and then that's what happens. That's what this whole confrontation is. It's a culmination of the extensive training and strategic acumen developed and honed throughout the Greed Island arc for our characters and for us. An experienced Nen user and veteran player of the game against a kid who only created a Hatsu a month or so ago. I don't really know how much time has passed since when we first entered and today's episode. But, you know, what I'm trying to say. Only knew the basic fundamentals of Nen as well. None of the higher level techniques. But he trained and studied Nen rigorously, as well as trained against and studied his opponent better than vice versa his opponent did to him. Genthru said, if you focus your aura where I grab you, you leave yourself open everywhere else. Like I said, I already understood this. Genthru leaves himself vulnerable, focusing his aura, but he knows, even if his opponent knows about Little Flower, his opponent leaves themselves vulnerable as well, focusing aura to defend against him. Genthru has two hands. He has the advantage, but only against a sane opponent, which is not the case here. Gon asked Biscuit, a flashback, how does Genthru avoid being burned by his own bombs? Oh, he shrouds his hand in aura that's stronger than the explosion. Again, I already knew this. When Biscuit grabs Gon's arm, like Genthru would in the moment, and, does it back to back, giving examples, experimenting, she asks Gon, could you tell the difference? Oh, you used less aura the second time. That was the thing I had not thought about. Sensing or feeling through touch. I only thought about it visually, with Gyo, as we've seen before. Biscuit says, when Genthru prepares Little Flower, he will shroud his hand in Gyo. If he's faking and planning to attack you somewhere else, he probably won't use Gyo. If you can tell his hand is covered with Gyo, when he grabs you, it'll be simpler for you to know which attack you should block. And we see Genthru fake Little Flower to land hits to Gon's gut, and we see Gon adapt to it. It registers in him. He remembers that forever, discerning the subtle shifts in his aura to anticipate and counter. And Gon, like always winning people over, even his opponents, even in combat, because Genthru tells Gon, you have talent and a promising future. But he also tells him, don't you think it's meaningless to throw all that away just for your pride? Genthru is calculating. Gon, not so much. Genthru's approach to any conflict is grounded in pragmatism and efficiency. Hence, why he uses the word meaningless, worthless, because there's nothing to gain except for pride. He acknowledges Gon's potential and advises him to surrender. He positions himself as the rational actor for both of them in this fight, because he knows Gon isn't going to be the rational actor for himself. Genthru is the one valuing life and future prospects and chances over the fleeting satisfaction of pride. He has to be it for both of them, because all Genthru wants is to end a conflict as quickly as possible. But there is no appealing to Gon's sense of reason. One, it doesn't exist right now once he's deviated from the plan, once Gon has his own goals set. And two, I think Gon would understand, the ruse. This is all just an attempt to merely undermine his resolve, to just obtain Gon's cards with minimal resistance and effort. So ignore what Genthru is saying. But then, to test Gon, Genthru's like, what if I use both hands? What are you going to do then? It ends here. You're already wasting so much of my time. Gon recalls back to Biscuit's training once again. Her warning, if he makes like he's going to use both hands to blow you up, that's a red light. Then it'll be time to stick to the plan. Gon thinks to himself, sorry, Biscuit and Killua, I'm going to be selfish here. We know Gon is selfish. He has been selfish on multiple occasions in the past. Gon is selfish. Even just Last episode, he was. And the episode before that, he was. And plenty of other times. But he admits he's selfish. He admits it. At least he is self-aware. And that makes me think, is this the first time he's admitting to his selfishness, to one of his downfalls, to one of his negative traits, or, Gon being aware of it in the moment at least? Even if he excuses it and does what he wants anyways, is this kind of the first time he's like openly admitting like, yeah, I'm going to be selfish, I'm going to be this, blah, blah, blah. I think it's rare for a shonen protagonist to confess this in this type of way. I also love how Gon is like, I just had a great idea, which we know ends up being deliberately allowing Genthru to detonate both of his hands. I love how a great idea in Gon's mind would be a totally insane, dangerous, unthinkable idea to anyone else's mind. Like when Gon returned to Biscuit and Killua after the fight and they saw his missing hand and how fucked up he was, they were probably shocked and most likely just thinking, oh my God, Genthru must have overpowered him. Something must have went horribly wrong. He must have been struggling to survive. Thank God he pulled through and survived. When in reality, Gon welcomed getting his hand blown off, which I don't think Killua or Biscuit would ever think of doing or risk themselves. Though, maybe they would if they shared the same level of just pure confidence as Gon, and if they knew there would be a breath of Archangel waiting for them after the fight. Though I'm not even sure Gon was really, deducing, oh yeah, well I can just lose a hand because I got Archangel waiting for me at the end. I don't know if he was really thinking about that in the moment. I think he was just purely, I'm going to sacrifice my hand to land this kick. And so Gon deliberately allows Genthru to grab both of his arms and detonate two little flowers, effectively buying a split second where Genthru's defense is down, which allows him to land an aura-enforced kick straight to Genthru's jaw. Genthru is shocked. He's stunned, obviously. After the smoke clears, Genthru sees exactly what's happened. In his inner monologue, he screams, "He sacrificed both hands!" He realizes how he got played, saying he probably gave up completely on his left hand, protected his right hand with 30% of his aura, and focused the remaining 70% on his legs. I use aura both to explode targets and to shield my hands from the blast. If I use it on both hands, I won't have much left for the rest of myself. He took advantage of that. Genthru is acutely aware of his vulnerabilities and limitations. He knows he leaves himself open if he uses both hands, which I'm sure is why he rarely does. But maybe he even still does because, that's never worried him, because he's never encountered anyone who would do such a thing that Gon did. Like he said himself, no one sane would actually try that. Exactly. I love this fight because I love how confident Genthru is and how easily he could see through Gon's actions. It was a deserved confidence. He had every right to be as confident as he was. He was indeed seeing right through Gon's actions, even his thoughts. He had that advantage of experience. He is an experienced Nen user and killer. But how quickly it all turned the moment Gon willfully, purposely sacrificed his hand. From that moment on, that very moment, no amount of experience could help or guide or lead Genthru, because this was something he's never seen before or anticipated or thought someone would possibly do. He's a hyper-rational, logic-based fighter. He could never imagine something as insane as deliberately allowing your limbs to get blown up or cut off as a cunning strategy for a narrow opportunity to land a counterattack. That's what shocks him. Gon performed a variable he never calculated, Gon volunteered the annihilation of both of his limbs to gain a small tactical edge. No fighter in Genthru's experience would ever, and has never, left themselves completely defenseless this way. Genthru's own strategy has never once accounted for an enemy who would fully expend their defensive aura in favor of a single focused offensive strike. Every single fight Genthru has ever faced assumed that caution was most paramount. No skilled opponent would ever give up a limb of their own volition simply to launch, a powerful counterattack. It's that very assumption that leaves Genthru utterly blindsided. You can't see through a madman, in this case, child. You can't see through or predict something or someone totally chaotic and unpredictable. And as Genthru says, this kid is totally insane. All experience goes out the window, flushed down the sink. What the hell are you supposed to do to intimidate a kid with such reckless abandon? What the hell is he supposed to do with an ability his opponent does not fear and openly presents his body to? What are you supposed to do when you're now the one afraid to get close to your opponent? There's no precedent for Gon. There's no past experience of Genthru's that ever required him to imagine such a scenario. If someone is willing to risk total bodily devastation, how can any standard conventional logical strategy succeed? And if you know Gon, you knew this attack was coming. Paying attention to Gon's past confrontations, you know Gon is a kickboxer. He uses his feet, not just his fists. And he utilizes his kicks in surprise, unexpected moments. No difference here. I was yelling during the reaction, kick him, kick him, kick him. He won't be expecting it. Genthru will be focused on your arms. And when I saw Genthru lean forward to grab both of Gon's arms, in those split seconds, I knew a kick was coming. Just like in those split seconds, Gon had to make the decision himself in those split seconds, redistribute his aura to his one arm and both of his legs. And that doesn't make a fight predictable. It doesn't make anything predictable. It means the writing is just amazing. The writing is tight. The writing is purposeful. The writing is smart. Togashi knows what he's doing. He knows how to write. And it's up to you to pay attention. If anything, if it didn't go this way, if it didn't go that way, that would have been bad writing. How many times in a bad show, or even a good show in a bad moment, does the correct, good writing, that thing not happen? And instead something worse happens. And what does Gon say afterwards? With one hand missing, completely obliterated and flayed, scorched other wrist, flesh raw and exposed, beaten to a pulp, can barely stand. What does he say? He calmly chuckles and huffs to himself. Gave him a pretty good scare. This kid's absolutely freaking insane. The simplicity of this thought, juxtaposed against the horrifying, gory state he finds himself in. Just what unyielding confidence and detachment he has. He sees the damage he's inflicted, both physical and more so psychological, to Genthru, as more important than his own suffering in this moment. His reckless bravery, it's just crazy. The only thing he can self-evaluate from what just happened is that it was a pretty good scare, totally downplaying what we can see he just endured. Gon is admiring, but really unsettling. How he just embraces trauma. He has a greater mental fortitude than most adults he's come across. And I mean, yeah, it's disturbing. It's like bordering on pathological disregard for your own self, but still, we have been watching for a little while now these growing additional signs of a troubling trend in his psyche. I think about the future. Can only imagine what the future arcs are going to have me witnessing next. But Gon is done being selfish. Time to get serious. He goes back to the plan. Killua's plan. His ingenious plan. Amazing how totally opposite the two of them are. We constantly see how the two of them are opposite. We discuss it all the time, and it's no different here with this plan designed by Killua. No more recklessness. Every footstep and movement is pre-planned and choreographed, utilizing cards, not spell cards, but the simplest of item cards, and only 2 of them to be exact, as well as understanding the niche mechanics of the game, such as we see, cards reverting to items after 1 minute of not being verbally called upon while being outside of the book, so that Genthru wouldn't know what card is being used or drawn because Gon doesn't have to verbally say anything, especially with the broken windpipe. Killua paid serious attention to the game and its mechanics, using cards creatively rather than traditionally or what's to be expected. Once Genthru got close, Gon told him he just made the worst mistake he could make. The plan has Gon summon gasoline to be used as a deterrent. He doesn't light Genthru on fire, doesn't use it as fuel or anything, doesn't use it offensively. He uses it as a deterrent, soaking Genthru in the flammable liquid that immediately renders Genthru's little flower ineffective, because Genthru would just ignite himself and engulf himself in flame if he attempted to use it. That's one ability down. Not being able to use Little Flower now forces Genthru to only be able to use his one other ability, Countdown. I don't know if it was said previously just how much more powerful Countdown is than Little Flower, but this episode we're told it's 10 times more powerful. So, Genthru has to once again get physically close to Gon to set the bomb, and then get as far away as possible to avoid the blast, because there's no way he has the aura necessary to shroud himself against a 10 times more powerful countdown explosion. If Genthru is trapped in close proximity with his victim, using countdown would only result in his own destruction. Killua plans for this perfectly. Gon deliberately allows Genthru to close the distance, purposely positioning himself and Genthru in the precise spot he needs them to be. Killua's plan hinges on understanding that Genthru, now forced to abandon Little Flower, would instinctively resort to countdown, and the two would have to be close to one another for him to set the bomb. The second layer of the trap is literally beneath their feet, a hidden, pre-dug pit in advance and carefully concealed. Genthru thinks he's a master manipulator, but it's Killua who thought to directly manipulate the battlefield itself, the very ground they are stepping on and fighting on. This whole time, Genthru standing on a trap, just waiting to be sprung. Gon says the requirements have been met. For me, Gon's Jajanken shatters the earth beneath them both, sending both of them simultaneously plunging down into the pit. Instantaneously, countdown is now neutralized. Genthru is stuck in a pit, unable to climb or jump out, with no abilities left to use. Genthru's mobility was one of his essential combat advantages. Now it's drastically limited to this tight subterranean space. This is a nightmare for Genthru. No close quarters control and no escape distance. He's got nothing. The third component of this genius strategy uses another simple throwaway item card, Boulder, with Gon quickly retreating to a prearranged, tiny escape cave tunnel. He summons the Boulder card. Again, a total surprise to Genthru, since it activated on its own without Gon's voice, because the card had been summoned outside the book for more than a minute. The massive rock comes crashing down, barrier to the surface, sealing Genthru inside the pit. As the rock comes falling down, it left Genthru only one theoretical exit, the same small tunnel Gon occupies, forcing a direct head-on confrontation exactly as planned. He has nowhere to run, no place to hide, to dodge, to block, or anything. They are mere inches from each other. He can't use Little Flower. He can't use Countdown. Trapped, drenched in gasoline, incapable of using his strongest technique, he is facing an existential crisis right now in front of Gon. Killua thrives on deep psychological tactical reasoning. This whole trap showcases just how well he comprehended their opponent, read him like a pop-up book. Now for the culminating blow. The carefully constructed trap positions Gon for the final decisive blow. In the claustrophobic confines created by Killua's trap, positioned at the mouth of the tunnel, Gon charges his Jajanken. So damn cool and badass when the shot is still on Genthru, but you see the yellow glow begin to emanate from the corner of the screen. Genthru's eyes widen. You hear Gon's broken voice in the background. So awesome. Previously avoidable. Gon's close range punch, inevitable. A point blank guaranteed knockout gut punch. Engineered strategy, precise planning, tactical minds, always win. Togashi wrote this as perfectly as you could. This is probably top 3 favorite fights Hunter x Hunter has had so far for me. I see it staying in the top 5 even by the time I reach the end of the anime. If there's at least 2 amazing fights in future arcs, it would still probably remain top 5. It would still be able to remain top 5 because literally I would only be 5. Going past that, I don't see there being 3+ fights coming up in the future that are all, decidedly better than what I just watched here. This might be the most balanced fight in the entire series so far. That's actually very uncommon too. And not from, I'm not saying that from a poor writing perspective or, like an unbalanced power system perspective, because this is the tightest, most well thought out ability system in all of manga and anime, and the writing is superb. It has nothing to do with either of those. In fact, the opposite. I say it's uncommon because the amazing writing and the themes of Hunter x Hunter have made it historically so dictated that some of the best duels and matchups we've seen so far have been one-sided, or duels and matchups being won as soon as they began or before they even began because of a character's intelligence or their plan going in, and most of all just greater understanding and application of Nen. Hisoka versus Gon, Kurapika versus Ubogan, the fights we've seen on Greed Island, the fights we saw in Heaven's Arena, the fights we saw in Yorknu, they've all been one-sided. But this battle between Gon and Genthru both had a real, justified, understandable, acceptable shot at winning if they played their cards right. Pun sort of intended. You know what I'm saying? Like, if Genthru won, you would have to say, okay, I accept it, understandable, justified. If Gon won, like he did today, acceptable, justified, I get it. This, like I said, just definitely feels like the most balanced duel so far. What follows after the Bombers' defeat and capture is then some really fantastic dialogue all around from each of our characters. Amazing action for 3/4 of the episode. The last quarter of the episode, then some great dialogue. What I didn't expect at all was this dimension from Genthru, actually caring about his companions, comrades, whatever you want to call them. The kids tell Genthru, open up your book, give us the cards. He agrees, but on one condition, he says. Use Breath of the Archangel on Bara. Wow. Did not see that coming at all. Up until this point, Genthru, the bomber, had been ruthless, violent, manipulative, devoid of empathy. And, he was depicted as all of that. His behavior throughout Greed Island was consistently selfish, prioritizing his own interests above everyone else's, even at the cost of human lives. And yet, after suffering a decisive defeat, Genthru reveals this facet of his personality. Heal my severely injured comrade, please. A poignant remark, because it really clashes with the perception we've had of Genthru this whole time. Genthru actually cares. Even at his lowest point of defeat, when he seemingly has nothing more to lose, he cares about not losing his comrade. Humanizing the villain is a complex, difficult thing to not only just attempt to do, but pull off and accomplish. Plenty of times it's overdone, overdrawn, cliche, badly written, or then poorly acted, or just it doesn't make sense or fit the story. Here, it's very simple. Despite his violent, self-serving nature, Genthru demonstrates genuine concern for Bara's life. Someone who's stuck by his side this whole time, risking his own life for him and his goals. In this moment, he isn't purely a sociopathic figure. He's someone capable of attachment, or at the very least, empathy towards someone, which means that person matters to him. The ruthless facade is chipped away, subtly, briefly exposing a layer underneath, an emotional vulnerability. Our protagonists fully exposed his physical vulnerabilities. Those have been laid out to bear. But here, his emotional vulnerabilities are partly stripped away, and by he himself willingly, by bargaining not for his own benefit, but for Bara's. How do we perceive villains in Hunter x Hunter? Remember, a primary, huge essence of Hunter x Hunter is the grayness of morality. But when discussing the gray morality, it's usually in the context of the innocent not being so innocent, of killing not being so unacceptable, things like that. But we can analyze the mirror image of that, with the bad not being so bad, with kindness and empathy not being so improbable or impossible. Togashi consistently emphasizes moral ambiguity in his characters across all his works, not just Hunter x Hunter. It's one of my favorite aspects of his writing and world building. Genthru is an antagonist. Yes, that doesn't change. But he's now multidimensional, whose villainy coexists with genuine, authentic bonds of companionship. Villains, like heroes, also have intricate emotional worlds. It takes a good writer to explore that. Togashi has always been committed to depicting characters who are not solely defined by their worst actions, and I love that about him. Gon's reply is equally powerful. Don't worry, that was always a part of the plan. Our trio had already considered healing their enemies. The overall plan wasn't purely strategic or tactical. It also contained a moral consideration, an element of compassion, and empathy towards opponents who previously posed a great lethal threat but no longer do. To Gon and the others, victory does not necessitate cruelty or indifference. Our heroes and villains have their own moral compasses. Genthru, ruthless, selectively loyal, a limited morality, but still real and complex, focused inwardly on a close-knit circle. Gon, compassionate, ethically consistent, and empathetic, always proactive in extending kindness even to those who sought to really harm him. Victory can be also defined and is also defined by how the victor treats the other afterward. This is where Goreinu comes in and where the dialogue gets really good. Goreinu appears, arguing that if they plan to use Breath of Archangel to heal these murderers, then the trade is off. He isn't given any cards. Goreinu's morality is based on emotional justice. He sees the bombers as cruel killers who deserve punishment, not compassion. It's reactive, rooted deeply in anger and hatred and resentment. He doesn't want the bad guys rewarded with mercy after causing so much pain. This is where Killua intervenes by asking, "You okay with using it on me?" And Goreinu's like, "Of course." Killua takes this as opportunity to tell him, "I'm an assassin. I've killed more people than these guys." He explains to Goreinu how each player in this game risks their life in one way or another. That doesn't make it okay to kill other people, but all the people he's killed were not nearly as prepared to die as the people Genthru killed. He's worse than the bombers. The people who enter this game understand the stakes, or they should. They know the risk to their lives. Players know there's a chance they might die in this game. It's ever present in the back of their minds. And that there are killers in this game. You're allowed to kill, so anyone is capable of dying. Genthru killed those who knew the stakes and the risks involved. He killed players in a game where people die all the time. He killed competitors who were at the very least prepared, even the tiniest bit, to die. The targets of Killua's assassination missions had either no such awareness or preparedness, or much less. By this logic, following Goreinu's own argument, Killua believes his actions were worse. He is worse, more culpable than Genthru. So Goreinu shouldn't want mercy for him either. Killua openly and bluntly acknowledges the reality of his identity. He was raised as an assassin. He is not hiding from his past sins. He's facing them head on. I love seeing that from him. The acceptance stage. Also, the gray morality once again. It's a reality. Death, murder is talked about very openly and accepted, and people's morality and opinions on it differ greatly in this world. For the most part, it's just shrugged off. It's just a normal thing. But at the end of the day, it's an accepted reality. Also, the fact that this is a child saying this, that adds to the gray morality. This is a child who's killed countless people, counseling a grown adult on his emotions. Killua, the child, is the one pushing Goreinu, the adult, to confront his moral inconsistency. If Goreinu refuses to heal murderers, logically he must refuse Killua's healing too. Togashi is using a child to compel characters and us, the viewers, to grapple with uncomfortable contradictions in morality and personal emotional justice. Goreinu tries to argue back. No, you aren't like them. I like you, but I hate their guts. Killua tries to say that isn't a valid reason, but Goreinu doesn't care. He doesn't need a reason because what counts is how he feels. And you can't argue that. You can't argue against that. Goreinu's moral compass rejects coherent logic in favor of emotional authenticity. He's being real. It's what he feels in his bones. You can't hate him for that. What's genuine to him, not what's necessarily right. Friendship, affection, loyalty, hatred, all sorts of personal feelings dictate many of our ethical judgments. Human beings frequently operate this way. personal connections and emotional biases do often override more complex, abstract moral reasoning. There's always a tension between what feels right and what might logically be right. Biscuit now intervenes, imploring to Goreinu, but we don't think it's right to let them die because we hate them. In battle, both sides risk their lives and are prepared to kill, but that doesn't apply once the fight is over. During battle, both parties willingly accept a great lethal risk. Afterward, when battle is done, ethical obligations shift hard. Killing or allowing the defeated to die post-combat when you could save them, especially motivated by hatred, violates core human ethics. Biscuit is the strongest one there in that friend group. The most powerful Nen user there. She understands power and what it is. Listen to her. She is trying to emphasize the important principle of moral restraint and compassion, specifically and precisely when power is absolute and contested. That's when it's easiest to do the wrong thing, but hardest to do the right thing. Gon comes in to drop the final statement, telling Goreinu, I haven't forgiven Genthru for killing all of those players, but the three of us agreed before the fight. I don't really remember why we decided that, but it wasn't based on logic or reason. It was just the decision that came naturally to us. Once the fight was over, we planned to heal everyone. All three of us made the decision, so we wanted to stick to it. Gon's morality is also intuitive and emotional rather than calculated. He even admits a lack of logical justification. It wasn't based on logic or reason, he says. Instead, their morality just emerged naturally, spontaneously from their innate sense of fairness and compassion. Goreinu's morality is emotional and intuitive, just like theirs. It's just fundamentally different, not aligned with theirs. That's why Gon says, I understand where you're coming from, and I understand we can't change your mind. But their decision is what they're going to be going with. We get you'll decline the trade, but we're helping them anyways. Just as they understand him, he has to understand them. Mutual understanding and respect. That's integrity. Sticking by the moral commitment they collectively made. Honoring one's word and principles, even when it's challenging. Like I said, every one of our characters in this last quarter of the episode dished out some profoundly illustrative dialogue. Everyone gave their piece. Each spoke their own profound, powerful words. Great action, great dialogue. You can't ask for anything more from an episode of TV or a movie or a manga, comic, novel, what have you. Genthru versus Gon fight. Top 3 for now. Then, Goreinu, conveying emotionally driven morality. Justice, based on personal feelings and desires. Killua, displaying an analytical and self-critical morality, demanding logical coherence and fairness. Biscuit, the principles of morality, defining clear ethical boundaries, particular when it comes to battle and mercy. Lastly, Gon, representing an instinctive, intuitive morality, one that emphasizes natural compassion, integrity, and consistency. Each viewpoint is given weight and respect. None are outright dismissed. Togashi reflects the complexity and nuance and human authenticity that exists when it comes to moral decision-making. Togashi explores how morality rarely conforms neatly to simple categories of right and wrong. Growth and self-awareness are key. Like in Killua's case, confronting his darker history, consciously struggling toward redemption and clarity, like we all should. And how we should all remember there is compassion in victory. There is victory beyond mere survival or dominance. Morality isn't easy, no matter what anyone says, because commitment isn't easy, but we all have to be committed to morality. Morality is complex, deeply personal, it's often contradictory, and most of all, profoundly human. It's what makes us human. True, real moral wisdom requires that we each and all navigate to the best of our abilities the rough seas, uneasy currents, and complicated interplay between reason and emotion, between logic and instinct, between compassion and justice. And so the episode ends with Goreinu, Gon, Killua, and Biscuit rewarded for their efforts, each getting a nice fat check of 1 billion Jenny each. Goreinu gives them all the cards. The book is complete. All 99 in their ownership. Only one remains. Quiz time. Really wasn't expecting that. A quiz, not just for our trio, but for everyone, for all players. 100 total questions dealing with restricted slot cards. The players with the most correct answers will win card number 0. Ruler's Blessing. That's the prize. I'm sure that's the card that allows the player to choose 3 cards to take outside the game. Maybe. If it's a quiz about all the restricted cards, then, reason to believe players who have collected only the easiest cards or collected next to no cards at all will have a tough time. They'll fail. As will those who stole most of their cards and didn't complete the quests to earn them. So, one more episode, I imagine, on Greed Island, 75, and then we'll be on our way to who knows where. Gon still has to find his dad. We know he isn't on Greed Island. You won't be waiting for him at the end of this game like Razor and who else will. Nobody knows where he is. I'll just have to wait and see. But that is where I'm going to end today's discussion. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button to let me know. And better yet, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to stay in the loop here on our journey. Keep the conversation going down in the comments below. And if you're interested in bonus exclusive content or early access, you can join YouTube channel members or join my Patreon. Having said all that, and with that said, so long, farewell, until next time, thank you, have a good one, peace.